Alright guys, welcome back to Travel with the
Dawson.
And today we are here with another story time.
We're gonna wake up Ellie.
Okay, we're gonna wake up the baby. Alright, so you see you have to be extra careful when you have children. But welcome back to Travel with the Dawsons, guys. Today we are back with a story time. It's been a while since we've done a story time.
I don't remember the last one.
It's been a long time. So guys, today we're just gonna have a chat with you guys. I want to say thank you to everyone who have recently subscribed. We see that you guys are supporting the thing and we love it. Thank you guys so much. Guess what? We're still on the road to 1,000 subscribers. So guess what? Tell your friend to tell a friend to tell your cousin, your niece, and nephew, your brother, everybody. Tell everybody to join the family. This is a big family, always growing.
Yeah. All
right. So guys, this week we have been featured in the Jamaica Gleaner. We've been featured in the Gleaner, guys, and guess what? We just want to do a story time about that. Just to kind of share with you guys, some of the things that was covered in the Gleaner story, which is mostly about my upbringing. The title said, what's the title?
Illiterate at 13.
Illiterate at 13, and a lot of people are like, what? So I want to give you guys a bit of a bit more content in terms of a story time, and talk a bit more about that. All right, so let's get straight into it.
Thank you to Tamara Bailey,
Sandra Plummer,
that orchestrated this whole preview that is been shown in the Gleaner. So if you check out, we will put the link in the description box for you to check out that article.
Mm-hmm.
But it really is an inspiring story. I think they've captured it really well of your story.
Yeah.
Your story. Yeah. And we just want to share a bit with you today about what really happened during that time.
Yeah.
How did it all pan out?
And just before we get into the story, I just want to say that sometimes your name is being called in places that you don't know. Because some time ago when I wrote my book, God's Seed for Success, I thought of getting it in the Gleaner. And I was like, how do I even make the first step? What do I do? We kind of didn't get the time to put the energy into doing that because of the pregnancy and everything that is happening.
Yeah.
And so someone just messaged me and said that, Tamara wanted to feature me in the Gleaner. And I'm telling you, that's how God did it. Someone called my name and my name was being called somewhere that I didn't even know. And God just opened a door. And sometimes your story is making room for you. So we're going to get straight into the story. All right, go. My interviewer is ready.
I will.
Yes.
Make room for you. I just have to put that in. Right. So the story begins at you back home in Jamaica. Mm-hmm. In your small community.
Carterwood.
Mm-hmm. Trelawney. Tell us about your upbringing, and before we even get to that part of the story of reaching 13 and realizing, how was your upbringing? How was school at that time? Did you realize that you were
struggling? No. That's a crazy thing. My upbringing was very good. I had lots of fun growing up, play lots of marble, go out and play games and marbles. Yeah. And also just having fun with my friends in my community. School was good for the most part. I didn't know I struggled academically until about grade 4.
Really?
Yeah. Because I didn't take education that serious. So I didn't know that, I was supposed to be at this level, which I wasn't. So when I got to grade 4 and we were supposed to do what they call the grade 4 literacy exam, which is a number of tests that you do to see where you're at to move on to grade 5.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, I failed the grade 4 literacy exam with flying colors, like proper failing. So I had to go to what they call the summer school program. So I went to the summer school program so as to not repeat grade 4. And I almost repeat grade 4 because my summer school program grade was very poor. But I scraped through and got to grade 5.
Wow.
So when I got to grade 5 now, I had a teacher that was very strict, and somewhat I was afraid of her, Miss Brown. Maybe I shouldn't have called her name Miss Brown. But she would always say that some of you will go to the fall club, you won't pass if you don't settle down. And in my mind, I wouldn't go to the fall club because what they called the fall club at that time was the section of the school that is at the bottom of the school, that if you did not pass the grade 6 examination, that you basically go to that section of the school. So I didn't take it serious. When I got to grade 6 and my teacher was trying to test, where we're at, I realized that I was struggling. I realized I could not really understand the content that I needed to know for the grade 6 examination. And I struggled to read up to the level I was supposed to read. I could read basic things like boy, girl, cat, rat, mat, sat, fat. Those are the things that you learn in school. But as it relates to pronunciation, breaking words down, and so forth, I struggled in that area. So basic reading I know. So maybe that's why it wasn't like a serious thing. But when it got to the exam for grade 6, my parents were confident that I would have passed. Everyone thought I would have done well because I was always a polite kid who liked to talk and very involved in things. So the day now when we got to pick up the result, my friends from my community, we all went thinking that I'm going to be going to a high school now, only to find out that all my friends passed. And when I went in and my teacher gave me big shout out, Miss Lolly. Miss Lolly recently sent me my grades.
Oh wow.
She recently sent me my grades for my grade 6 exam because after she saw the progress I've been making and saw my book and so forth, she reached out to me and shared my grades with me. And the grades they're appalling, guys. They're like 30, 20, nothing was in the 50s. And you needed like 50 or maybe 40, 50 to pass.
Out of 100.
Out of 100 in terms of an average, yeah. And I didn't get anything close to that.
Wow.
Disappointing. I was like, or maybe about 2 of us from my community failed, or 3 of us overall. It was a lot of us as young people.
Wow.
So I end up going back to the same all-age school, and what my grade 5 teacher said became my reality. For that time, I had to go to where people who fail go and losers go. So I went to what they call the fall club section of the school, which was under the basement where it was very cold and not so nice.
Oh, wow.
But in the fall club, God was going to do great things.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got to when I remember getting the result, guys. I remember getting the result, and I felt at that time like I could end my life. When I got home, I went in the house and I saw there was this atmosphere of disappointment. It's like the environment was just so thick with disappointment. And I remember going to the back of my house. When I went to the back of my house, I contemplated for a while not wanting to be here because you just feel like the worst, the only person, the only person who didn't move on. And even though there were maybe 2 other persons, it just felt like I was the only one.
Yeah.
In my mind, I was the only one that didn't move on because I was friends with some of the brightest students. And some of the brightest students got scholarship and all these things. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm at this place where nothing is going on for me. And so, as a result of that, I remember my siblings were great motivation. My brother bought all my books. So it's not like I didn't have the tools for the exam. He bought all the books for me. Because by then my brother would have, reached out and start working and so forth. I remember my sister saying that, you can rise from this, so you need to get yourself together. My parents were, very disappointed, but they were very supportive. And then my sister got me this book one weekend. She was coming down called Gifted Hands, and that was the turning point for me. When I got the book,
Shout out to Debbie.
Shout out to Debbie, Kamara Dawson, Claire Dawson, Rupert Dawson, all my siblings. They've been quite instrumental in my development. So after I got the book, I remember one day I was trying to read the book. My mother was there. And so I was like, Mommy, what's this word? At the time, the word looked so big to me. And I said, what's this word? And she was like, break it down, try and break it down. So I'm now trying to break down this word. And the word was together. And this is how I put it together. To get her. So I'm like, the first part is to. The second part is get. And the third part is her. So I said, Mommy, is it together? He said, no, it's together. And I said, okay, wow. That was like me, like learning to break things down from reading this book, Gifted Hands. But after I started getting into reading the book, I recognized that I could relate to Ben Carson's story. Because here it is, we have a neurosurgeon today who did the first separation of conjoined twins attached to the head. But I was reading my life. I was reading about a guy who struggled academically, struggled financially, but his parents just wanted to push him to do well. The environment was against him, but he had a mindset and he had the parents and the support system behind him. So I recognized that brilliance wasn't so much about you having that brain to be bright. You just needed to have the discipline. So I started disciplining myself to read and I got this hunger to be like good at everything. And so I started pushing myself to read more. And by the end of grade 7, where I was in the fall club, I was reading at about grade 8 level when I was assessed. So when I got to grade 8 now, it's amazing that in 1 year, your entire mindset changed completely. Wow. So in 1 year, I was so focused, driven, I became a leader. I became one who knew what I wanted. And by grade 8, I was given deputy head boy for the school. Deputy head boy. When I got to grade 9, I became the head boy. So from being a failure up to that point, the last 2 years of my time in secondary school, in all-age school, God transformed everything. I became very active. I started, putting myself out there. And I just decided, you know what? If I'm going to fail, I'll just fail giving it my best. And that's why people see me with this energy. I'm this kind of person who just give it 100. Like, even if I don't know what I'm saying, I'm going to say it confidently. Even if it's wrong, as people always say, oh, the grammar is wrong or something, I would say that wrong thing confident, like it's the rightest thing. Because I recognize that even if you have the wrong thing and you are confident in what you do, you can also succeed.
Like the word rightest.
Rightest? Right. What's that?
Like it's the rightest thing.
Yeah, man, it's the rightest thing. So yeah. So after that now, I remember now that I passed for secondary school, I got through to the school called Sydney Pagan Agricultural School in St. Elizabeth, and I got through to Homo Technical. There was a comment that was made that I would never forget. And I want to say this to people who, that even after you've done your best, you're going to find people who still going to criticize you or downgrade you based on the mistake or what you've done wrong in the past. And this person said to my mother, don't send him to the technical school, send him to the school to learn agriculture. And that was very disappointing to think that someone didn't think I could actually, manage that level of education because of my past or what I went through.
At the same time, she probably meant no harm.
Yeah, she didn't mean any harm, but for me, it was quite damaging because yeah, I feel like my ability was being questioned, because I had found myself. I wasn't the person who which you knew. And that's the thing, people will judge you by who they knew and not who you become.
Because you had developed past that point.
Because in 2 years, my mindset would have changed from limits. I no longer thought limits. I thought that anything I put my mind to, I can achieve it. And so as a result of that, I decided I'm going to go to secondary school. I'm going to go to Homo Technical High School. And I'm going to be the most outstanding student. No matter what it takes, I'm going to be outstanding. And so when I got to Homo Technical, I decided, guess what? I'm going to be involved in everything. So when I got to Homewood, most of the students would have said I was very extra. But that being extra then was coming from my failure. It's like a compensation strategy. You know what you've been through, so you want to do your best. And so I got involved in everything. The first year, I became a peer counselor. Got involved in all the clubs, choir, everything. So I just got myself occupied or pulled in. And that's the thing. When you get yourself absorbed into many things that you spark interest and develop you cognitively, then you're on a better path to unlock what is in you, because you don't get time to give in to your doubts and your insecurities. Because a lot of people fail to be good because they spend so much time thinking, I am inadequate. And because you're so focused on what's not going good in your life, you fail to see what is good and what you can do. And as a result of that, I finished high school as the most outstanding student in academics. I got maybe all the awards, most of the awards actually, when I graduated. I became the deputy head boy for the school. So God just did some really great things. Having gone through that situation, God just started blowing my mind and showing me that anything is possible when you believe. And so I also, one of the things that blew my mind the most was the fact that having, coming from a system where I couldn't read to becoming the top student in the Caribbean in a Caribbean CXC subject was like one of the greatest things. When I got my CXC results, at the time, I've never heard of it in my community. I got 5 1s. Can you believe it? 5 distinctions. I did 8 CXC subjects and I got all 8. 5 1s. So God is really, 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 really good. And from there, went to sixth form. The rest is just more like, good part of it. From there, I went on to sixth form, did my A-levels, and by the time I was supposed to move on to the second year of sixth form, I had applied for the Jamaica Constabulary Force because my parents couldn't afford to send me to university. I wanted to go and study, and the financial backing was not there, so I decided to, join the Jamaica Constabulary Force. And so in 2010, I became a police officer. I loved that job thoroughly. And then, that was, when I became a police officer, it was a very tough time in my life also, because I was leaving my community, going to a new community, going to the city, where you have all these distractions and so forth. But, along the way, I never forgot, or never forget God. And God would, connect me with my beautiful wife. And this is where you came in the story. 2010, we met. So we actually met when we were in school. When I was doing my A-levels. Yeah. So what do you remember about the story when you became a part of it? About my story.
I didn't know your past at that point, did I?
I don't think we discussed it.
No, I think it was that later on you shared that with me. But at the time, I met you at the time where you were so driven, because I remember seeing you. Remember the Gleaner came to Homewood? Yeah, and I saw you on YouTube.
And I was talking and giving my interview. I was like, Homewood Technical High School is gonna take it, guys. We're gonna be
champs. It was champs.
Yeah,
season.
we're gonna beat all the other schools in champs, because that's what we do here.
The event was just phenomenal. We can see that the students enjoyed themselves, and I must say that the Gleaner company did a fine job when they choose to come to Homewood, because we have very vibrant students, and our track team is going to make it 8 in a row this year. And the males, I'm sure that they'll make it in the top 6. Homewood is just the best school. Our motto is deeds, not word, and we can assure you that when we go to champs, we're going to give it to them on the track.
That part of your story, but I just knew when I did meet you, you were a very driven person. I met you before you went into the police force, and you were just doing everything.
Yeah, I was very, very,
you were
very
Mr.
active.
Busy. You're Mr. Busy now, but you were Mr. Busy back then too.
Yeah.
So is there anything from your childhood days that kind of still lingers in your mind now?
To be honest, I think the most traumatic part of my childhood would be that experience. Otherwise, I thoroughly enjoy growing up in my little community. Just, enjoying the people, enjoying what we do, playing cricket, just having fun. So I had a regular country boy experience going to the river, getting beaten for not doing your things like packing up the stick or, everything about my childhood, apart from that part, was good. Even being beaten, because all those things were kind of disciplining me for this time in my life. But yeah, I have no regrets.
What advice would you give to a young boy, young girl out there that is behind in school? They might kind of feel ostracized, or they might feel away, as we would say. Feel away. What advice would you give to them? Because it can sometimes be really hard to pick yourself up and push yourself forward when you have been pushed to the back many times.
And it's interesting why you say that, because I think one thing I can recall that sometimes comes back to my mind is being pushed out at times, because I can remember times when I couldn't read, and then there are people that they'll call to like read in church, like read the Bible, and I would feel very embarrassed that I couldn't do it and I wasn't being called on to do it. So those things can come back to mind, but never allow your the things that you find that you're not competent or great at to define the other great things that are in you. Some of us might never be academical in terms of or pursue. We might never be persons who will retain a lot. But there's a skill or a gift in you that you need to refine. And I would say what I know now that I didn't know then is it's so important to find a mentor. Ben Carson became my mentor from a distance. Wow. In the sense that his life and his story helped to shape my mindset. You have to find somebody that will point you in the direction of hope, that will connect you to your destiny. In a sense, you need a destiny helper. You need mentorship. You need somebody that will guide you. And for me, that's why I've started this thing called the Speak Black Man. And a part of the Speak Black Man movement is also to sponsor young people or be mentoring young people, into how to develop and to become their best self. So we just share a part of my story tonight, today with you guys in this story time. But I want to say thank you to the Gleaner and everyone that made this possible. I am indeed very humbled by this opportunity, and I just want to continue to do my best to make an impact and to make the world a better place in my little way. And thank you for my baby who is always with me every step of the way. Dawson's 5. That's how we do it. So thank you guys for being here. And as we always say, peace. We are out. Love you guys.